All right, let's talk about the student-teacher relationship and ego inside of the voice lesson. Oh, I was really thinking about this topic in the past couple of weeks. I have a singer that I'm working with who is a freshman in high school and recently got a support lead in a musical, which is a really big deal. This is a really competitive school. It is not rural. It's competitive. And she, as a freshman, earned this role, and I was really, really excited for her. And as she came to her voice lesson, we were practicing it, we were working on it, and we were practicing it, and we were working together, and I gave her some ideas and some solutions to work on it. And she said, well, my director wants me to sing it this way. And by this way, she meant, they want it to be very bright. They want it to be very easily projected. She wants it to be in head voice here and in chest voice here. And this young woman said, I'm so worried about if I should be putting it in head voice or chest voice. Like, I can't even remember where to breathe. And at first, when she said, oh, my teacher told me to do this, blah, 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 my ego a little bit was like, well, that's not what I told you, right? That's not what I told you. I thought about it, and I tried very quickly in my head to, empathize with this other director, right? And I could see where she was going with this because, it's very typical of a musical theater genre to want to be a little bit more bright. And practical application of this is just so, you can be heard. So you can easily be understood over a pit orchestra or in a large space. But this shouldn't be a problem because they're going to have mics. Now, it might amplify the challenge because they don't know for sure if they're going to be wearing masks or not for this performance. And so I can understand where the director is coming from. So I made that connection very, very quickly. And I really focused on trying to keep my ego in check. Even though I knew that the way that we were working together is going to be the healthier way, which is going to be the better way, right? It's less about how it sounds, it really is. And it's more about how it feels. And it's more about the longevity and the health of the voice. Especially if, I was listening to her sing this, and she sounds great. She sounds awesome. But really, all of this worrying about should I put it in head voice or chest voice, or I should sing it more bright here, or I should do this, it made the singing very disjointed, and it didn't actually sound any better. It just made her uncomfortable, and she literally said, I feel uncomfortable doing this, and I am so worried about singing in head or chest voice, I am forgetting to breathe. And this was my cue that it's got to be about the singer. And so I told her, you sound great. You've been working together on this. And at the same time, I don't want to contradict someone who is working with her. Because that's not fair to her. Then there's going to be conflict. But at the same time, I need to be honest with her. Because she's not being true to herself right now. She verbally said it is uncomfortable. And I'm worried. Right? These are not good things for singers to be dealing with. We have a lot more on our minds. And so I had a choice if I was going to be honest with her and give my opinion. And so I decided to just be honest. And I encouraged her to do what feels good for her. And she said that because she's a freshman, she wants to really make sure that she's showing that she has an open mind and can take direction. It's kind of like, earning your stripes or paying your dues. There's a lot of this mentality in the music industry, especially where voice teachers are concerned. And when you're trying to have an open mind because you're worried about next year's casting and you are a freshman in high school, very, very vulnerable time, right? You're trying to balance all of this. You're trying to balance being true to yourself, listening to your current voice teacher, listening to your director who are telling you two different things, trying to be open-minded, wanting to be cast next year, wanting to fit in with the current cast. That's a lot. That is a lot. And a music director has no place. A music director has no place telling a soloist how she should sing a certain song. I'm sorry. Like, if you're a music director and, you are directing a musical, your job is to work the music. Your main job is to work the ensemble, coach them where they need coaching. But for the love of goodness, you cast them for a reason. Don't tell them how to sing. That's not your job. And it creates so much conflict, right? This girl is worried. She's going to be worried for the whole run about this. I just tried to encourage her, be true to you. You've proven that you have an open mind. You've proven that you've tried to do this. Now they're getting more in the trenches. They're starting to do full scenes. They're starting to do choreography, because typically in a production like that, you would learn and rehearse the music first. And so they're kind of getting out of that learning the music phase, and now they can relax a bit more into the, okay, there's a lot of things going on right now. And so she will be more free now to kind of relax into her own style. And I just tried to encourage her that was coming up. You sound great. You really, and she really sounds great. So go ahead and do what's comfortable for you. Otherwise, she's not going to make it through the run. She's going to lose her voice. She's going to stress out. It's not worth it. So this director, there's something going on, where her ego has to tell the soloist how to sing in a very specific way so that this production is makes her look good. I don't know. Do you see what I'm saying here? How can you possibly make a singer feel this way? Now, to be fair, this young woman is probably not telling her any of this. And this goes back to trust. You need to be able to trust whomever you're working with in a vocal relationship. Sometimes, you're going to get directors that you don't know as well. Sometimes you're going to get, choir instructors that you don't know as well. You're going to be working with a lot of different people. And so being really, really true to yourself is super important. And it comes down to trust. You want to trust yourself, trust your teacher, and trust the process. And a voice lesson is a place to do this. It's a place to develop that trust. It's a place to experiment and try new things. It's a place to discover yourself and your voice. Singers come to a voice lesson to find out more about who they are. Now let's talk a little bit about ego. Because when we think about singers, what do we think about? We think about divas. We think about inflated egos. And yes, you have to have confidence. You really do. You want to have this inner confidence. You want to have this outer confidence. You want to carry yourself with grace and look and sound like you know what you're doing, right? So let's talk a little bit about ego, okay? The definition of ego inside of the dictionary is that it mediates between the conscious and unconscious. It is a sense of personal identity. Now, singers, think about this again. Singers come to a voice lesson to find out more about who they are, who their voice is. I hear this all the time. You want to discover your unique voice. You're trying to find your identity. And voice teachers, when they are trying to help, we talked a little bit about this in the past couple of episodes. You should definitely check them out if you haven't. We talked about when teachers or when somebody identifies the problem and not the solution. We talked about when they identify the symptom and not the solution. So singing out of tune is a symptom, okay? It does not take a rocket scientist for someone to cough and someone to say, "Oh my gosh, you have a cough." It's very obvious to everyone that they're coughing. It's very obvious to everyone that you're singing out of tune. It's a symptom. Stating the obvious is not going to help. Stating the obvious is going to make it very, very difficult. So, for example, oh, that sounds kind of nasally. All of the sudden, we identify a symptom, a nasally singing sound, and when we don't solve that problem, you as a singer begin to identify with that. Oh, I am a nasally singer. When that is not even true. That is the symptom of a problem that your voice teacher could not solve for you. And now this is why you identify with being a nasally singer when you're not even a nasally singer. And so a lot of this comes down to having a great relationship between you and your voice teacher, and your voice teacher actually knowing what the flip they're doing. Now, in my experience, thankfully, I have had amazing voice teachers. But when I talk to singers, I hear about two main categories of voice teachers. And if you're a voice teacher right now, your ego is going to go, oh, that's not me. And I have asked myself countless times, why is my studio always full? Why do people come to me in one voice lesson and are like blown away and say things like, oh my gosh, you're magic, you're awesome, holy cow, I did not know this. This was exactly what I was looking for. They have huge breakthroughs in just their first lesson with me. And it's not because I'm amazingly awesome. It's because I don't fit into the category of these two voice teachers. And this is my mission, because you cannot be a good voice teacher and fit into one of these two categories. But the horror stories that I hear, and maybe that's the thing. Maybe I'm biased because I'm simply hearing the horror stories. I'm not hearing the good stories. Okay? But when I talk with singers, I usually hear about two different voice teachers. Number one, they have no idea what they're talking about, but they're nice. And they're encouraging. Okay? Have you ever had a voice teacher like this? And maybe you don't know because you don't know what you don't know. Or maybe you can like smell the BS and kind of be like, I don't really think that they know what they're talking about, but they're really nice and I like to sing and I can tell that their heart is in the right place. Awesome. It's really great that they're a nice person. And this is a very, very good thing. But why do you come to voice lessons, right? You want to get better, you want to get results, and you want to improve yourself. So in a sense, it doesn't really matter if they're a nice person if they're not doing anything for you, right? I'm trying to think of an example. I mean, I'm thinking of like tennis, or I'm thinking of like a doctor, And why is this? I don't understand why this would be different for singers. Maybe you can DM me and let me know your experience. But you go to a tennis teacher, what do you expect. You want to learn tennis. You don't say, oh my gosh, they don't know what they're talking about, but they're really nice. You're like, no, I want to learn tennis. Or you go to a doctor and you're like, wow, this doctor is really, really nice, but he has no idea what is wrong with me. And he didn't give me a prescription, and he just left me feeling like I was still sick, or something like that. You go to a voice teacher because you want to learn how to sing better. I have heard a ton of people make excuses for their voice teachers. When I ask them about their results. Oh, how's it going? Oh, yeah, it's going pretty good. Well, what are you working on? Are you making any improvements? Yeah, I'm making some improvements, but it's really not going the way that I want it to. Oh, well, why do you think that is? Oh, well, my voice teacher is, she's usually used to like working with classical singers, and I'm not a classical singer. So, okay, excuse me. If you're not a classical singer and your voice teacher, you think that the reason why you're not getting results from that voice teacher is because they do better with classical singers. Why are you taking voice lessons from them? And people will stay with their voice teacher for years, because they make excuses for them. This is about you as a singer. Singers, this is about you. Voice teachers, pay attention, because I'm sure as a voice teacher, you've had your fair share of voice teachers as well. And you've been in these situations, so I know you can relate. So, one type of voice teacher has no idea what they're talking about, but they're nice. Or maybe they're a really good singer, and they're nice, but they don't get you results. They don't know how to teach. Or there's the one that knows everything about science and anatomy and is a professional singer and knows a lot about vocal pedagogy and cannot stop giving you an anatomy lesson. Like, oh, your larynx is too high right now. Okay, cool. Again, that's a symptom. Okay, can you please tell me how to lower my larynx? Because the larynx is on the inside of my body and I'm not sure how to control it, right? This is bad teaching. Or let's talk about laryngeal positions for like 10 minutes. Okay, and the singer is sitting there trying to be respectful. And they're like, oh my God, can you please just tell me how I can sound better? Please? I'm not sure what you're talking about. I'm not sure. I kind of understand where you're going. Like, thank you for that big picture. But what I really need right now is a solution. And I just want to sing better, right? That's what your singer is thinking while you're sitting there giving them an anatomy lesson, right? And you're not wrong, but you're not helping your singer. You're being a pretentious asshat, okay? Now, sorry, I'm just being real with you, homie. I'm just being real, okay? Just being real. We've all... Now, if you're a voice teacher, a lot of this is not your fault, right? We are thrown into the fire. We don't get a lot of practical experience in college. Nobody teaches us how to give feedback. They barely teach us how to communicate. We get like an anatomy chart. We have to fill in the parts. We learn a little bit about pressure and airflow. We learn a little bit about the larynx. We don't really learn how to teach real people, okay? So this is not your fault at all. It's not in your control. Here's what's in your control. Your flippin' ego, okay? Your ego. If you could never say to a singer, I don't think we are the best fit, then you need to re-examine yourself. Now, you could say, I don't think we're the best fit because maybe you don't want to teach that person. Awesome. You could say, I don't think we're the best fit because you know, I generally teach a different style. That's awesome too. You could say, I don't think we're the best fit because you don't want to teach a 10-year-old. That's cool. Awesome. You could say, I don't think we're the best fit because you don't know how to help them. And I think a lot of voice teachers, again, this is a very cultural thing for singers. To admit you're wrong is very, very challenging. To admit that you can't do something is very challenging because we're brought up in this culture of fake it till you make it. Or, just try to be real confident, appear real confident, even though you don't know the answer. That works really good for performance and for singing performance. That does not work well for teaching somebody else. You have the responsibility of helping another singer. And you are going to ruin it. You're going to scar them for life because you can't admit you're wrong. Get out. Get out of here. You know what I'm saying? If you're a singer, you don't want a teacher like that. Why would you be a teacher that you wouldn't want to have? Be the type of voice teacher that you would want to have. And voice teachers, I want to be clear, I'm not calling you out. I know, your ego might be a little right now. I totally get it. I promise I'm not calling you out. I'm calling out the problem. This is the problem. The symptom is that singers do not feel confident. They are not getting results. They're not able to connect emotionally with their audience because they are so worried about how they sound. That's the symptom. And the problem is voice teachers who are unequipped to do their job, or their egos are too big to admit that they could be better. And that's simply it. The solution is to get some training, get some experience. Now, I make mistakes. I have made a lot of mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes, okay? Charging weekly per lesson, that's a big mistake, okay? Being too honest at times, sometimes that's a mistake, right? Coming into lessons and bringing the crap from the day to my lesson. I've totally done that, okay? These are some mistakes that I've made. I've definitely made some big mistakes. But we learn from those mistakes, okay? So now if I'm having a bad, I did this the other day. I've had some big changes going on in my life lately. It will be better. It will get better. But I was having an emotional day last week, and I couldn't shake it, and I was not going to bring that to my voice lessons. So I canceled them. And that's what I've learned from that. So I do keep an open mind. I have made a ton of mistakes. But for the most part, the singers that I work with are getting results. And they tell me every single week, I have people telling me, oh my gosh, I wish I would have known this when I started taking voice lessons 10 years ago. And it was just our first lesson. Or they'll just get amazing results that they've never received before, and they'll be feeling awesome about it. And this is just what I've noticed and what people have told me. And I have a method and a style of teaching that helps singers get results. That is the voice lesson that we would all want. The voice lesson that's positive, that's mentally stimulating, that's focused on solutions, that's experiment, that's problem solving, that's joy, that's what a voice lesson should be. And if you're a voice teacher or you're a singer who's thinking about teaching voice lessons and you want to be equipped to have voice lessons like this, I'm opening up enrollment for my voice teacher certification program. And I'm actually going to extend this a little bit. I'm probably going to extend the applications through September 30th. We didn't have a podcast episode last week. And fall, right? You guys, fall has been crazy with scheduling and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to extend the applications. If you're at all interested, let's hop on a call together. Let's chat about it. I mean, seriously, it's a free 30-minute call. If you're interested in becoming a better voice teacher, you can pick my brain. I literally hopped on a call the other day with somebody and found $20,000 a year that was just laying around because of her policy. So free 30-minute call, $20,000. And it's not just about money, right? It's about teaching. It's about giving great voice lessons. But here's the thing. You give great voice lessons, you deserve a sustainable income. Because teaching voice lessons is not for the faint of heart, right? It is not a sellout from your recording artist career. It is a whole different skill set, and you might just become addicted to helping people, to, seeing these singers improve, to being the change, being that voice teacher who you wish you would have had. So go to starsinger.co/apply. You can check out all of the information there. It probably says applications are due September 15th, but you can go ahead and apply until September 30th. We'll make it work. I'm pretty chill over here, and I'm a very straight shooter, so that's just how it's gonna be. And yeah, I mean, I'm really excited. I'm really excited. I've been teaching people pretty much all of my life. I mean, when I was 14, I hopped on the payroll. I was asked to help at karate and instruct, and I have been teaching for a very long time. And I wanted to be a teacher, and teaching is a skill. And this is something that you can add to your skill set as a singer to become an amazing voice teacher, if that's something that you want. So you can go to starsinger.co/apply. Okay. Let's leave with a thought experiment kind of thing here. Just call it that. When it comes to a voice lesson, first of all, when it comes to a voice lesson, we all have to lose the ego. As a singer, you got to lose the ego. You have to open your mind, become open-minded, become willing to experiment, become willing to act a little silly, make some crazy sounds, make some bad sounds, make some good sounds, just make sounds. You got to be willing to do that in order to improve, because the voice lesson can be a pretty abstract and fun and wacky place. So setting aside your ego and having fun and having an open mind is essential for singers. It is also essential for teachers. You need to do what's best for the singer, and you need to put your own ego aside. You need to admit when you're wrong. You need to have your singer's best interest in mind, not your own. And this is usually not because if you have an ego, like, hey, we all have egos. I mean, it's here to keep us safe, right? It's a part of us. It's not inherently bad or good, right? But I think that the ego can become even more defensive when you don't know what you're doing. Like, if you're not feeling confident as a voice teacher, it's going to be a lot more tempting to succumb to your ego, to cover up the fact that you're not sure what to do, instead of just admitting, hey, I don't know what to do. And it's okay to admit that you don't know what to do. But if you always don't know what to do, just get some more experience. We all could use some more experience. And that's what I'm doing in my certification program for teachers. We are not going to be learning about anatomy. We're going to be learning practically how to teach voice lessons. We're going to be talking about how to communicate solutions, how to try solutions with different learners, how to get your singers results. We're going to be giving you feedback on your teaching. There's no other program like this right now. Not that I know of. I mean, I've heard of, East Still and Throga, and I've heard of, there's a couple of the other people doing things like this, but they're very anatomy focused. They're very neurodivergent focused. Some say they're a little focused on practical application, but I don't truly think they are. So, I mean, if you're the type of person who, wants that anatomical knowledge, I mean, you got to do what's good for you. If you want some background in that, go do that. But if you want like real world practical application stuff that you can use in a voice lesson right now, then this program is for you. And let's just hop on a call and chat about it. And you can go to starsinger.co/apply to do that. Okay. Now the rating thing here. Okay, so what do you think? And this is rhetorical, or you can DM me at Tiffany Van Boxtel on Instagram. But I'm curious, when it comes to a voice lesson, what do you think are the top 2 things that are the most important? The top 2 things that are the most important. Here we go. Number 1, singers feeling good about themselves. Number 2, singers getting results, improving. Number 3, having a strong connection and communication between the voice teacher and the student. And this includes honesty. Next, the teacher being a great singer. Next, the teacher feeling confident. Next, the teacher putting the student before themselves and dropping the ego. And this is not like because this was our subject. There is no right answer. Like, all of these things are good. But I really want you to think about which 2 would be the most important and perhaps have a domino effect on something else. For example, if a teacher feels confident about what they're doing, it's a lot easier to help singers feel good and get results. So those impact each other. So I want you to think about what is most important for you inside a voice lesson, and this might change depending on if you have the perspective of a singer or if you have the perspective of a teacher. That was a fun one. We covered a lot of ground. Again, if you are a teacher who is interested in learning about real-world practical teaching application and joining a program with a community that supports you doing that, you can join you can apply to see if you're a good fit and have a chat with me. And if you are a good fit, then we'll go from there. I'm opening up my program for voice teachers. So read more info at starsinger.co/apply. And I hope to see your application and chat with you soon.